It's good to see you again. You ever wonder why some women have this magnetic, almost spellbinding ability to make a man melt in her presence? It's not always about what she says. It's often about what she does, the way she carries herself, the way she leans in ever so slightly, the way her touch lingers just a second longer than expected. Today, I want to give you something incredibly powerful. It's something subtle, but when you know how to use it, it can completely transform the energy between you and a man. I'm talking about touch. Specifically, 5 places a man can't resist your touch when it's done right. These aren't the obvious spots, and it's not about seduction for seduction's sake. This is about connection, intimacy, and leaving him feeling captivated by you. So let's dive in. When we think about attraction, most people focus on the obvious, the grand gestures, the compliments, the big romantic moments. But the truth is, some of the most powerful forms of connection come from the tiniest, most understated actions. One of those is touch. Not just any touch, but a touch that's timed right, placed well, and charged with meaning. And one of the most overlooked but incredibly effective places to touch a man is his forearm. Now that might sound strangely specific, why not his hand or his shoulder? But the forearm sits in this perfect balance between strength and vulnerability. It's muscular, solid, and often visible, especially when he's rolled up his sleeves, whether consciously or not, in a subtle display of masculinity. But what most women don't realize is that this area is also extremely responsive to physical contact. It's sensitive, it reacts, it carries sensation in a way that instantly grabs his attention without setting off alarm bells. So when you touch a man on the forearm, even lightly, even in the most innocent seeming way, maybe while you're laughing at something he just said or leaning in during a moment of connection, you're not just making physical contact, you're sending a signal. You're saying, I see you, I'm here with you, I feel good around you. And that signal gets received loud and clear. What's fascinating is that this kind of touch doesn't scream seduction. It doesn't try too hard, it's casual, it's organic. But because of that, because it doesn't announce itself, it flies past his defenses. It doesn't feel like strategy, it feels like real chemistry. And that's what makes it so powerful. That gentle brush of your fingers against his arm as you laugh, or that reassuring squeeze when you're making a point, it stays with him. He remembers it later. He plays it back in his mind when he's alone. Why? Because it wasn't just the touch. It was how you made him feel when you touched him. And the best part is, you don't need to make it obvious. In fact, the more natural it is, the more impact it has. You could be at a dinner table, reaching over to pass him something, and your hand just rests for a second longer than expected, or you're crossing the street and lightly place your hand there as you guide him through a crowd. These moments don't shout, but they whisper. And men are deeply tuned in to those whispers, especially when they come from a woman who is fully in her feminine power, who knows the energy she's giving off and who's confident enough to feel the moment instead of overthinking it. The forearm becomes a canvas for connection. And your touch, the stroke that makes him feel something he didn't even know he was craving. There's a place on a man's body that can create instant chemistry if you know how to use it. It's not loud or showy. And it's certainly not one of those cliche areas people go for when they want to create in fact, most women overlook it completely, but when you touch it, something primal happens. It's the back of his neck. Yes, that spot where the base of his hair meets the curve of his spine. It's a sensitive, exposed area. And for most men, it's tied directly to instinct, to alertness, to physical awareness. It's where his nervous system is on guard. And yet, when you touch it, he doesn't tense up, he relaxes, his body softens. It tells him he's not in danger. He's being desired, he's being seen. The back of the neck is intimate in a way that few touches can replicate. It's a place that someone only reaches when there's already some level of closeness, physical and emotional. That's what makes it so magnetic. You're not just touching skin, you're entering a sacred space, one that most people don't get to access. Imagine this, you're walking up behind him, maybe in the kitchen while he's focused on something, and you gently place your hand on the back of his neck. Maybe your fingers slide slightly into his hair. You don't have to say anything. That one small moment says it all. Or maybe you're leaning in close to whisper something, and as you do, your hand just grazes that spot. Just for a second. That's the kind of touch that lingers long after it's over. It short-circuits his mind and drops him into his body. It bypasses logic and lands straight in his nervous system. And in that moment, he feels you, not just physically, but emotionally. You see, what most people forget is that men are deeply physical creatures, but not in the way people assume. It's not about constant, intense stimulation. What gets to a man on a deeper level is contrast. It's the difference between the fast and the slow, between the obvious and the unexpected, between the wild and the gentle. And touching the back of his neck is the gentle. It's the surprise, it's the warmth, it's the thing that catches him off guard and makes him pause. Because for a moment, he feels like you're taking care of him. And that's something men rarely get to feel. In a world where they're expected to lead, perform, provide, your soft touch tells him he can just be. With you, he doesn't have to try, he just has to feel. That moment of intimacy is subtle, but it opens a gateway. It tells him there's more to this connection, that this isn't just physical attraction, it's emotional closeness. And believe me, that's what keeps a man coming back. That's what makes him think about you in the quiet moments when no one else is around, because it wasn't just that you touched him, it was how you touched him. And even more than that, it was who you were being when you did it. Grounded, feminine, present, irresistible. There's something almost poetic about touching the small of a man's back. It's not dramatic, it's not meant to excite or provoke. It's meant to guide, to communicate presence, confidence, and connection without a single word. This isn't the kind of touch that shouts, it whispers. It's not aggressive or needy, it's warm, grounded, and assured. And when done with intention, it hits a man in a place that most women never reach. That space between his masculine need to lead and his deeper longing to be received by a woman who knows her power. Because what you're really doing when you place your hand at the small of his back is stepping into your feminine energy. And in doing so, inviting him to meet you in a more conscious way. Think about a moment when you're walking side by side, maybe into a restaurant or through a crowded event. Instead of waiting for him to steer, you guide him forward gently with your hand at the base of his spine, just the lightest pressure, just long enough to say, I'm here, I've got you. It's not about control, it's about intention. It shows you're tuned into him. It says, I'm not just walking with you, I'm walking with awareness. And that right there is where the magic lies. Because men are rarely touched that way, with consciousness, with elegance, with presence. Most physical interactions are reactive. Yours, in that moment, becomes responsive, it becomes soulful. Now, why does this particular spot matter so much? Because the small of the back is where instinct and sensitivity meet. It's a place of movement, of direction. A part of his body tied to posture, power, protection. When you touch him there, even subtly, you're not just making contact, you're creating alignment, you're syncing your energy with his. It creates this feeling that you're dancing together without even realizing it. It's a signal of unity, of emotional attunement, and that makes a man feel something he doesn't often feel. Guided, but not dominated. Seen, but not exposed. Desired, but not chased. It brings out the part of him that wants to be connected to something deeper than chemistry, something rooted in trust, in ease, in the flow of two people who just get each other. What makes this touch so special is how elegantly feminine it is. It's soft, it's supportive, it's subtle, but its impact runs deep, because while other women might fight for his attention through loud gestures or over-the-top flirtation, you become the woman who commands his focus simply by how you move, simply by the grace in your fingertips. That one touch, placed with calm certainty, makes him feel like he's exactly where he wants to be, next to a woman who moves through the world with quiet magnetism, emotional intelligence, and the kind of confidence that doesn't chase, it attracts. There's a moment that happens when a woman places her hand on a man's chest, and if it's done with the right energy, it can create a shift that goes far beyond physical attraction. His chest isn't just muscle or a symbol of strength. It's a gateway. It's where his heart beats. It's where his breath lives. It's the emotional center of his body, the place he instinctively protects from the world. And when you touch him there, not with urgency, not with agenda, but with calm, loving presence, something opens in him. Something softens. It's as if, for just that moment, he doesn't have to be the strong one. He doesn't have to perform. He gets to feel. And that's not something most men are given the space to do, especially not by someone who sees them romantically. This isn't about sex, it's about intimacy. The kind of intimacy that makes a man want to go deeper with you because he knows he's safe in your presence. So many women believe that making a man fall for them is about seduction, about keeping him guessing, about holding back. But that only creates tension. If you want real connection, lasting emotional chemistry, the kind that a man can't shake even when you're not around, it happens in those small, grounded moments. Like when you're lying next to him and you slowly place your hand over his heart, or when you lean into him and let your palm rest against his chest as you whisper something soft, something real. It's not performative, it's present, and that presence makes him feel chosen, not for what he does or how he looks, but for who he is. What's incredible about this kind of touch is that it speaks to a man's most secret craving to be held emotionally, to feel like he can let his guard down, that he doesn't have to always be the one holding it together. The world rarely gives him that gift. But when you do, when you allow your touch to say, you don't have to be anything but here with me, you create a sanctuary for him. And let me tell you, that kind of sanctuary is addictive. He'll come back to it over and over again, not because he needs validation, but because it reminds him of who he gets to be when he's with you, free, at peace, desired, not just as a man, but as a person. And here's what makes this so beautiful. You don't have to say much. You don't have to overthink it. Your hand can speak volumes that your words never could. You can look him in the eyes and say nothing and still tell him, I see your heart, I honor it, and I'm not afraid of it. That kind of connection is rare. It's unforgettable. And when a man experiences that with you, through one simple, powerful touch, he doesn't just feel close to you, he feels home. There is something profoundly intimate about touching a man's face. Of all the places you could reach for on his body, his face is the most exposed, the most emotionally charged, and the least touched by others in his day-to-day life. It's where his expression lives. It's where his emotions flicker before his words ever form. And when you touch him there, when your fingers gently trace his jaw, when your palm rests softly against his cheek, when your thumb brushes across his temple or his lip, you're doing far more than making physical contact. You're telling him without saying a word, I see you, I'm right here with you, I'm not afraid of your depth. That level of connection breaks through even the most emotionally guarded man, because for a moment he's not performing, he's not presenting, he's just being, and you're still choosing to reach for him. What makes touching his face so powerful is how vulnerable it makes him in the best possible way. You're not grabbing his attention through flirtation or seduction. You're inviting him into something softer, something real. A man may sleep with a woman who excites him, but he aches for the woman who touches him like she already knows his heart. Imagine being close to him, sharing a quiet moment, and your hand simply rises to rest on the side of his face. Maybe you're laughing, maybe you're looking at him in a way that tells him you're not just drawn to his body, you're drawn to his being. That moment anchors him, it brings him into the now. It tells him that with you, he doesn't have to hold back. And men, no matter how strong, how confident, how in control they seem, are starving for that feeling, the feeling that they don't have to chase affection, that it's already here in your hands. It's worth noting that this kind of touch shouldn't be rushed. It's not a performance, it's an offering, a gesture that says you're safe to be seen. So many men walk through life with armor on, not because they want to be distant, but because the world doesn't always make space for their softness. But when you, as a woman, reach for his face with tenderness, without trying to fix him, impress him, or take anything from him, you give him something rare, emotional stillness. A moment where he doesn't need to think or speak or even respond. He just has to feel. And what he feels is a woman who's connected, grounded, radiant in her femininity, and completely unafraid to hold him in his humanness. This kind of touch creates memories. It's the kind of moment he replays when he's lying awake at night. The image of your eyes, the feel of your skin against his, the quiet strength in your presence. You didn't have to prove anything. You didn't have to say much. Your hand on his face said everything. And in that still, intimate moment, he wasn't just looking at a woman, he was seeing his woman. So here's what I want you to take away from this. It was never just about where you touch him. It's about how you touch him. And more importantly, who you are when you do. The woman who touches his forearm isn't just reaching for skin, she's anchoring him in the moment. The one who finds the back of his neck knows exactly how to whisper intimacy without ever speaking. The one whose fingers rest at the small of his back leads with grace, not force. The woman who places her hand over his heart invites his guard to drop. And the one who touches his face, she sees him. Not just the man he shows the world, but the one he hides, the one he secretly hopes someone will understand. Because real feminine power doesn't chase, it doesn't perform, it doesn't ask for attention, it receives it. And these touches, when given with presence, authenticity, and warmth, create a space where a man feels something he rarely gets to feel, desired and emotionally safe. And once he experiences that, it's unforgettable. It's magnetic, and it's you. Now, here's your challenge and your invitation. Don't just listen to this and move on. I want you to practice presence next time you're with him, whether it's your partner, a man you're dating, or someone you're slowly growing close to. Choose one of these touches. Don't plan it. Don't force it. Feel into the moment. Let it be natural, warm, feminine, and just notice what shifts. Notice how he looks at you after. Notice how he leans in, how the energy between you softens. And then come back here and tell me about it. I want to hear your stories, your shifts, your transformations, because this isn't about tactics. It's about stepping into a version of you that knows her power and uses it not to control, but to connect. If this resonated with you, if it stirred something in your heart, I'd love for you to like this video, subscribe for more relationship wisdom every week, and share it with a woman who you know is ready to deepen her connection, not just with him, but with herself. And remember, the most irresistible touch is the one that comes from a woman who isn't trying to prove her worth, but simply radiates it. Until next time, stay grounded, stay magnetic, and never forget, you are the invitation.